Welcome to Beyond Belief, a place where we move beyond comfortable religion and face the words of Jesus as they truly are. Clear, confronting, and unavoidable. Because Jesus never spoke only to inform. He spoke to awaken, to confront, to decide something in us. And as we come to the closing section of the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus brings everything to a point. A moment of clarity, a moment of decision, a moment where two roads appear and every person must choose one. One road is wide, easy, familiar. The other is narrow, costly, uncomfortable, but alive. And Jesus says something sobering. Most people choose the wide road, not because they are forced to, but because it feels natural. Because drifting is easy, comfort is easy, following the crowd is easy. But life, real life, requires intention. Today, we step into that tension. Let me start by asking you something simple, but deeply personal. What if you can be completely sincere, completely convinced, and still be walking in the wrong direction? What if the direction of your life is being shaped right now, not by your intentions, but by the path you keep choosing every day? Your habits, your priorities, your compromises, your focus. Because according to Jesus, life is not random. It's directional, and every person is walking somewhere. Welcome back to Beyond Belief. We are in the final stretch of the Sermon on the Mount, and you can feel the shift happening in Jesus' words. He is no longer just teaching principles. He is bringing people to a decision point. Through this sermon, the kingdom was announced, the Beatitudes refined blessing, salt and light revealed influence, the heart was exposed, the hidden life was revealed, anxiety was confronted. And now, Jesus brings it all together with one question. What path are you really on? Because eventually, belief becomes direction, and direction always leads somewhere. I remember a time in my life where I felt like I was moving forward, but honestly, I wasn't sure where I was going. I was busy, productive, always doing something. From the outside, it probably looked fine. But deep down, there was this quiet question I couldn't escape. Where is all this actually leading? Because it's possible to be active without being aligned, busy without being rooted, moving without meaning. And I think a lot of us know what that feels like. You wake up, handle responsibilities, keep moving, keep building, keep surviving. But somewhere beneath all the noise, there's still that deeper question. What direction is my life really taking? And Jesus speaks directly into that tension. Honestly, most people don't really think about direction. We think about today, this week, this season. We think about deadlines, stress, bills, relationships, responsibilities. But very rarely do we stop long enough to ask, what is this trajectory of my life? And even more confronting, is the road I'm on actually leading me towards life or away from it? Because the truth is, small decisions shape direction. Quiet compromises shape direction. Repeated habits shape direction. And eventually, direction becomes destiny. Jesus says these words in Matthew 7, verse 13 to 14. Enter through the narrow gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many enter through it. Let that sink in for a moment. Many, not a few, not a small group, many. And that's uncomfortable to hear because we naturally assume that if most people are doing something, it must be safe. But Jesus says popularity is not proof of truth. Sometimes the crowd can be sincerely wrong. The wide road represents what is easy, what is popular, what is culturally normal, what requires no resistance, no sacrifice, no self-examination, no confrontation with truth. It's the path of least resistance. And that's exactly why so many people walk it. Because it feels natural to drift. It feels natural to avoid conviction, to follow appetite, to chase comfort, to blend in. But Jesus warns that easy roads can still lead somewhere dangerous. And destruction is not only something that happens at the end of life. Sometimes it begins quietly, through compromise, drift, numbness, disconnection from God. One small step at a time. Imagine standing at a crossroads. One path is wide, crowded, and familiar. People are laughing, comfortable, confident. Nobody seems concerned. The other path is narrow, less obvious, less crowded, more difficult. And Jesus is standing there saying, "Be careful which one you follow." Because not every popular path leads to life. Then Jesus continues, "But small is the gate and narrow the road that leads to life, and only a few find it." That word matters. Find. Not drift into, not accidentally arrive at. Find. It requires awareness, intention, a willingness to wake up spiritually. Because nobody accidentally follows Jesus deeply. The narrow road is chosen again and again, one decision at a time. And honestly, I don't think the narrow road is narrow because God is trying to make life miserable. It's narrow because truth requires focus. It requires letting go of distractions. It requires choosing conviction over convenience, purpose over pressure, truth over comfort. The wide road asks almost nothing from you, except that you keep walking. But the narrow road changes you every step. And that transformation can feel uncomfortable sometimes, because Jesus is not just trying to improve your behavior. He's trying to transform your heart. Imagine Jesus speaking these words while looking at people he genuinely loves. Not condemning them, not rejecting them, warning them. Because he sees what they cannot see. He sees where each road ends. And with compassion, clarity, and urgency, he says, "Choose life." And then Jesus says something even more sobering later in the same chapter. "Not everyone who says to me, 'Lord, Lord,' will enter the kingdom." In other words, it is possible to know the language of faith without surrendering to the path of Jesus. It is possible to appear spiritual while remaining unchanged internally. This is not about appearance. It's about alignment. Not whether we occasionally mention Jesus, but whether we are actually following him. So what does this mean for us? I think it means we stop assuming direction and start examining it honestly. We ask deeper questions. Questions like, where am I actually going spiritually? What is shaping my decisions right now? What patterns are forming my life? Am I following Jesus or simply following familiar habits? Because nobody drifts onto the narrow road. It is chosen. Sometimes quietly, sometimes painfully, but always intentionally. And here is a tension Jesus leaves us with. The wide road is easy, but it is not life-giving. The narrow road is difficult, but it leads to life. And every person eventually decides what they value more: comfort or transformation, familiarity or truth, approval or disobedience. Because eternity is not reached accidentally. It's walked into, one road at a time. Imagine standing at the end of your life, looking back, and realizing that every small decision, every hidden habit, every compromise, every surrendered moment was shaping the road you walked. And then realizing something else. The invitation of Jesus was always there, not forcing you, not controlling you, but calling you patiently, consistently, lovingly towards life. Here is the truth. Direction matters more than intention, because sincere people can still walk the wrong road. And eventually, the road we choose shapes the life we experience. So this week, pause for a moment. Slow down long enough to reflect honestly. Ask yourself, what road am I actually on? Not theoretically, not emotionally, practically. Through your habits, your priorities, your direction, and if needed, realign. Choose again. Because Jesus still invites people onto the narrow road every single day. May you have clarity about your direction. May you have courage to choose the narrow road, even when it is difficult. And may your life reflect quiet strength, peace, and transformation that comes from truly following Jesus. Thank you for joining me on Beyond Belief. If this episode challenged you, share it with someone who needs clarity today. Because Jesus doesn't just offer belief, He offers a path. Because in the end, everyone walks a road, but only one leads to life. And that changes everything.